A mosquito doesn't merely sip your blood, it steals lives. Annually, the number of human fatalities caused by mosquitoes surpasses the combined death toll from every shark, serpent, lion, and predator roaming the planet. Yet despite this staggering reality, most Americans continue to battle these pests with candles that offer negligible protection and chemical sprays they feel uneasy using around their little ones. But as of tonight, that outdated mentality is history. I'm about to reveal a 5-minute DIY trap that replicates the very carbon dioxide you exhale, drawing every mosquito in your yard straight into its lethal chamber. I'll also introduce you to the indigenous American plant that the U.S. military rigorously evaluated for troops stationed in the globe's most perilous mosquito territories. And I'll share the garden layout strategy that upscale resorts have discreetly adopted to maintain entirely bite-free premises throughout the entire warm season. Zero chemicals, zero expensive gear. Let's jump straight in. If you're new to this channel, go ahead and press that subscribe button and drop a comment below, letting me know exactly how intense the mosquito situation is in your neighborhood right now. All right, let's roll. Here's the hard truth that the commercial mosquito repellent sector absolutely does not want you to uncover. Mosquitoes are not locating you by accident. They aren't drifting around aimlessly, crossing their fingers that they'll collide with a human. On the contrary, they are pursuing a distinct chemical fingerprint that guides them unerringly to your location. Every exhalation you make releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere surrounding you. To a mosquito, that CO2 plume sounds the same as a dinner bell ringing at full volume. They possess the biological capability to sense it from as much as 164 feet away, and they pursue that scent trail with unnerving accuracy all the way back to its origin. That origin is you. That origin is your family gathered on the patio. That is precisely why, no matter where you relocate or which repellent you apply, they consistently zero in on you within mere minutes, because they aren't speculating, they are navigating. And once you internalize that fundamental reality, the remedy becomes glaringly obvious. You cease attempting to conceal yourself from them, and instead, you present them with an even more compelling target that works to your advantage. Which leads us directly to the trap itself. And I have to confess, when I first stumbled upon the underlying science behind this approach, I was thoroughly impressed by its elegance. When yeast converts sugar through fermentation, it generates carbon dioxide, the identical gas that your lungs expel with every breath. In the perception of a mosquito, there is absolutely no difference between the two. A container filled with fermenting yeast and sugar positioned somewhere in your yard emits a CO2 beacon that they find completely impossible to resist, and they follow that signal straight into your device. Here is the precise, step-by-step method for constructing it. Begin by pouring 1 quart of lukewarm water into a standard bucket. The warmth accelerates yeast activation, jump-starting the fermentation process without delay. Then incorporate 1 tablespoon of active dry yeast and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar into the water. Give it a mild stir, just enough to blend everything evenly. Within a short span of minutes, you will observe tiny bubbles forming and rising to the top. That effervescence is your carbon dioxide being actively generated, and that signals that your mosquito lure is officially operational. Now comes the crucial final detail. Add 1 tablespoon of dish soap directly atop the liquid surface, but do not mix it in. Simply allow it to rest there. Why is this step so indispensable? Because the dish soap eliminates the water's surface tension entirely. The instant a mosquito alights on that liquid, it sinks and becomes ensnared with no possibility of escape. That's simple physics, and it's thoroughly unforgiving. Position this bucket adjacent to any stagnant water you might have, or in dim corners of your property, or near entryways where mosquito traffic is typically highest. Replenish the entire mixture every 3 to 4 days, since the fermentation activity gradually diminishes over time. Also, relocate the trap to a different spot weekly to remain ahead of their adapting patterns. You will likely detect a significant improvement within the very first evening. Now, before we advance any further, I want to highlight something that the vast majority of mosquito-related content creators deliberately omit, primarily because it involves no purchase whatsoever. I'm referring to 10 specific plant species that mosquitoes genuinely find unbearable, and a number of these may already be flourishing in your garden without you even recognizing their hidden capabilities. Let's start with marigolds. These vivid blossoms harbor a natural compound called pyrethrum, which is the very same active component found in numerous over-the-counter insect repellents. Studies conducted by NASA have verified that marigolds can effectively drive mosquitoes away from a radius of up to 10 feet. Position them around your outdoor lounge area, and that entire space becomes organically safeguarded. Next, consider lavender. Lavender is abundant in linalool, a substance that directly disrupts a mosquito's neural functioning. This doesn't merely mask your human scent, it actively induces sensory confusion in them. In the Provence region of France, lavender has been harnessed for pest deterrence since the era of the Roman Empire, and its effectiveness remains legendary. Then we have catnip, which, according to research performed at Iowa State University, is 10 times more potent against mosquitoes than DEET. The active compound, napetalactone, drives these insects in the opposite direction with impressive force. If you crush fresh catnip foliage and apply it directly to exposed skin, you gain immediate natural defense. Lemon balm is another formidable contender. It contains the identical active substances present in commercial citronella candles, but in substantially greater natural concentrations. Just brushing against it while outside causes those protective oils to transfer directly onto your skin, forming an invisible shield. Peppermint is equally powerful. Its menthol concentration overwhelms the mosquito's olfactory receptors to such an extent that they can no longer accurately locate their prey. You can soak fresh peppermint leaves in witch hazel for 1 week, and you will have a highly effective homemade spray ready for application. Rosemary, packed with camphor and cineole, offers a dual advantage. Throw fresh rosemary sprigs onto your barbecue coals, and the fragrant smoke disperses protection throughout your entire yard, while simultaneously enhancing the flavor of whatever you're grilling. Then there is the American beautyberry, a plant that the majority of people have never even encountered. Completing the full roster are basil, tansy, and citronella grass, rounding out the comprehensive list of 10. The most strategic approach here is to construct a tiered defense network. Position citronella grass or American beautyberry as your primary boundary around seating zones where you congregate most. Place basil and rosemary near walkways and entrances where people naturally brush past them as they come and go. Deploy lavender and marigolds as a secondary outer ring for additional reinforcement. The rationale behind this layered tactic is that different species discharge their essential oils at varying times and under varying conditions. Some are perpetually active, others release their compounds only when touched or agitated. Certain varieties perform optimally during specific weather scenarios. By integrating multiple plants with overlapping protective radii, you establish an unbroken barrier with zero gaps. Landscape architects who have adopted this approach report reductions of up to 95% in mosquito incidents for their customers, a figure that truly speaks for itself. Now let's discuss the plant that the U.S. military regarded with enough seriousness to finance actual scientific investigation: American beautyberry. This native North American shrub produces 2 exclusive compounds, calicarpol and intermediol, that are found nowhere else in the natural world. These molecules accomplish more than mere repellency. they generate an invisible protective bubble that extends 15 to 20 feet in every direction from the plant itself. Moreover, it proves effective not only against mosquitoes, but also against ticks, fire ants, and chiggers simultaneously. Scientists hypothesize that American beautyberry evolved such extreme defensive properties because it naturally inhabits wetland ecosystems where mosquito pressure is exceptionally intense. The plant had to cultivate formidable chemical armor merely to endure those hostile conditions. And now, you can harness that very same biological defense in your own home garden. Individuals consistently report sitting within 10 feet of American beautyberry bushes during the height of mosquito season without sustaining a single bite, even in humid, swamp-like environments. You can also crush fresh leaves and rub them onto exposed skin for instantaneous relief, or simmer the leaves in water to produce a natural spray. Indigenous communities have utilized this exact method for centuries, and contemporary laboratory validation confirms that it surpasses numerous commercial alternatives in performance. The plant is remarkably adaptable. It tolerates everything from waterlogged clay to dry, sandy soil, flourishes in either full sunlight or partial shade, and demands zero fertilizer or synthetic chemical interventions. In autumn, it yields vivid clusters of brilliant purple berries that not only nourish local birds, but also add striking ornamental beauty to any landscape. Here is one more essential consideration before you venture out to put these strategies into practice. The primary reason most mosquito control attempts ultimately fall short is not that they are wholly useless, but rather that they address one isolated facet while neglecting every other dimension. A citronella candle covers only a confined radius. A topical spray wears off within 2 hours. An electric zapper attracts and destroys some mosquitoes, but does absolutely nothing about the ones actively breeding in stagnant water a mere 20 feet from your back entrance. The integrated system I'm presenting today proves effective because it assaults the problem from each and every angle simultaneously. The fermentation trap lures them in and disposes of them at the originating source. The plants create overlapping protective envelopes that operate continuously around the clock without requiring any ongoing intervention from you. And comprehending that mosquitoes navigate by detecting carbon dioxide rather than haphazardly stumbling upon you enables you to position both the trap and the flora in the precise optimal locations to intercept them long before they ever reach your family. Before I conclude, I want to share two candid observations. First, none of these methods necessitates any specialized equipment or expensive merchandise. Every single item I've discussed in this video is either obtainable at your neighborhood grocery store, a nearby garden nursery, or potentially already thriving in your own yard as we speak. Second, please allow the trap at least one entire night before forming any judgment about its efficacy. The fermentation process requires sufficient time to build a robust, stable carbon dioxide signature, and the mosquitoes in your particular vicinity also need time to discover and acclimate to the new trap. Patience is genuinely essential here. If you found this information valuable, go ahead and hit that like button. It genuinely helps the channel grow. And leave a comment below telling me which of these tactics you're planning to try out first. I personally go through every single comment, so feel free to share your thoughts. Also, click on the next video showing up on your screen right now for more practical, field-tested strategies that yield tangible results. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to Clim Reveals so you stay updated on future content. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.